deep today. If you've been, watching the housing market, especially here in Ontario, and maybe feeling like buying your first place is just financially a bit out of reach, well, this deep dive is definitely for you. We've got a guide here talking about a new government rebate. Seems like it's aimed right at first-time buyers.
That's right. It's designed to ease that initial financial hit.
So our mission today, unpack this guide, figure out, what is this rebate exactly, who gets it, how much cash are we actually talking about, and importantly, how do you claim it?
Yeah, the how is crucial.
Absolutely. This could be a pretty big deal, potentially making that first home purchase feel a little less, daunting.
It's interesting how targeted it is based on the source material. It's not just throwing money out there. It's really zeroing in on that big hurdle for first-timers, those upfront costs.
Which are huge, let's be honest. So, okay, let's get right into it. What is this thing, this new rebate?
Okay, so at its core, it's a new federal rebate on the goods and services tax, the GST. And the goal, according to the guide, seems pretty clear. Just take some financial pressure off buying that very first home.
Right, and there's a headline number attached, isn't there? What's the maximum potential rebate from the federal side?
So for eligible new homes, and that new part is key bought for up to $1 million, the feds are offering a full 100% rebate of the GST you paid.
100%. Wow. So on $1 million place, that translates to?
Potentially up to $50,000 back.
$50,000. Okay, that's significant. Not small change at all. The guide we looked at had a fun comparison, like, what was it, 50 patio sets?
Yeah, 50 moderately priced patio sets or, one really, really fancy BBQ setup.
Yeah.
It definitely helps picture the impact on, say, furnishing the place.
It really does. But it's not $50 K for every single new home purchase, right? You mentioned a price limit.
Exactly. It's important to understand the scaling. That 100% rebate, the full $50 K potential, is for homes up to $1 million. Once the price goes over $1 million, say between $1 million and $1.5 million, the rebate starts to decrease. It phases out linearly.
Linearly, okay.
And then if the home costs $1.5 million or more,
then no federal GST rebate.
Correct. At that point, the federal part of this specific rebate disappears completely.
Okay, so max benefit up to $1 million, less between 1 and 1.5, zero above that, seems clearly aimed at maybe the entry-level or mid-range new home market. Which brings us to the next obvious question. Who actually qualifies? There must be rules.
Oh, definitely. The eligibility criteria are quite specific. Let's break them down. First, the basics. You need to be at least 18 and a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident.
Okay, standard stuff. What about the first-time buyer definition? How does that work here?
Right, this is a really crucial point in the guide. For this rebate, first-time buyer means you or your spouse or a common law partner.
Yeah.
Haven't owned a home in the current year or in the 4 calendar years before that.
4 years before the current year. So like a 5-year look-back window, effectively.
Exactly. It filters out people who've owned property relatively recently. So if you sold a place 3 years back, for instance, you wouldn't qualify for this specific rebate.
Got it. Need that 5-year gap. Okay, and the home you're buying with this potential rebate, does it have to be where you live?
Yes, absolutely essential. It must become your primary place of residence. The source material is very clear. This isn't for investors building up a property portfolio.
Right. No, using this for your first rental property or that mansion you plan to Airbnb, like the guide joked.
Exactly.
Okay, primary residence, haven't owned recently. What about the property itself? Any rules about its age or type?
Yes, and this is maybe the biggest qualifier. You have to be the first person to occupy the property. Basically, it means you're buying a brand new home from builder or you're building it yourself.
So buying resale is out for this rebate.
Correct. That lovely, charming century home from 1910. Even if it's your first purchase, it won't qualify for this rebate because someone else lived there first.
Okay, newness is absolutely key. So what kinds of new properties does the guide say are eligible then?
It lists the main ones you'd expect. New houses or units bought from a builder. Think new subdivisions, new condo towers. Also, homes that you build yourself, owner-built homes. And it mentions shares in a cooperative housing corporation, too, if it's a new complex.
That makes sense. It lines up with the idea of encouraging new supply. Okay, let's circle back to the money because this is exciting. We established the federal part could be up to $50,000. Is that the absolute maximum saving, or is there potentially more for Ontario buyers?
Yes. This is where it gets even better for people buying specifically in Ontario. There's another layer. Ontario has its own provincial rebate on the provincial part of the HST for new homes.
Okay, and how much is that worth?
That provincial rebate for eligible properties can be worth up to an additional $24,000.
Wait, hang on. So you can stack these: the federal GST and the Ontario HST rebate.
You absolutely can, if you meet the criteria for both.
So do the math for me. $50,000 federal plus $24,000 provincial. So
That's potential total saving of up to $74,000 for eligible first-time buyers in Ontario getting a qualifying new home.
$74,000. Wow. Okay, that's a game changer. The guide's comparison was
Yeah.
enough for a ton of IKEA furniture assembly.
Yeah, and maybe even enough left over to pay someone else to deal with those Allen keys. But seriously, that kind of money makes a massive difference with closing costs, moving, setting up the new place. It really lowers that barrier.
It absolutely does. Okay, practicalities. How do you actually get this money?
Assuming it involves forms and bureaucracy.
You assume correctly. It's a government program, so yes, paperwork is involved. No magic wands here. First step, obviously, is double checking, triple checking that you meet all those eligibility rules we talked about.
Age, residency, first-time status, primary residence, first occupant, all of it. Yep. Then gather your documents. You'll need proof of the purchase, like the agreement of purchase and sale. You'll also need evidence it's your primary residence, eventually utility bills in your name at that address, that kind of thing.
Okay. And if you built it yourself...
Then you need records of your construction costs.
Yeah.
Receipts, invoices, the works.
Right. Documents ready. What about the actual forms you fill out?
Depends on how you got the home. If you bought it new from a builder, you'll need the federal form GST 190, that's the main new housing rebate form, plus the Ontario specific part, which is form RC7 190 on N.
Okay, GST 190 and RC7 190 on N for builder purchase. What if you built it yourself?
If you're an owner builder, it's federal form GST 191, and the matching Ontario form is RC7 191 on N.
Got it. 190 for buying, 191 for building, plus the respective Ontario forms, and these go where?
To the Canada Revenue Agency, the CRA. You submit the forms and your supporting documents to them.
Is there a deadline for sending all this in? Like after you move in?
Yes, and this is super important. You have to submit the application within 2 years. 2 years from the closing date if you bought from a builder, or 2 years from when construction is substantially complete if you built it yourself.
2 years. Don't miss that window.
Absolutely critical. Miss it, and you potentially lose out on the entire rebate.
Okay, definitely put that on the calendar. Now, what about deadlines to even qualify in the first place? Do you have to buy or start building by a certain time? Is this rebate sticking around forever?
No, it's not indefinite. The guide was very clear on the timing for this specific program. If you're buying from a builder, your purchase agreement needs to be dated between May 27, 2025 and January 1st, 2031.
Okay, May 2025 to the start of 2031.
Oh.
And for owner builders?
For owner builds, the construction itself has to start before January 1st, 2031.
So that's the window to get the agreement signed or get the shovel in the ground. Is there a deadline for actually finishing the construction?
Yes, there's a final completion deadline too.
Yeah.
The home needs to be substantially complete before January 1st, 2036.
2036 for completion.
Right. The guide used some strong language here, like missing these dates could turn your rebate dreams into nightmares.
Huh. Okay, message received. Pay attention to the dates. May 2025 to Jan 2031 for the start. Finish before Jan 2036. Clear enough. Let's zoom out a bit. Why did the government roll this out now? What's the thinking behind targeting new builds and first-time buyers specifically?
Well, the source material points to two main reasons. First, it's about encouraging new construction. We all know housing supply is a huge issue, especially in Ontario. So by making new homes cheaper via this rebate, the hope is it stimulates demand for new builds, which then encourages developers to actually build more.
Okay, so it's partly trying to boost supply by nudging buyers towards new homes.
That seems to be a big part of the strategy, yes. And the second main goal is directly helping first-time buyers overcome that huge initial cost barrier. Getting into the market is incredibly tough financially. This rebate aims to make that first purchase less crippling, more achievable for that specific group.
So tackling supply and affordability for first-timers in one go. Makes sense. Let's run through a couple of quick questions that probably come up a lot. Can an investor use this? Someone buying purely to rent out?
No. We covered this, but it bears repeating.
Yeah.
Strictly primary residence only. No investment properties qualify.
Right. And can you apply this retroactively? Say you bought a brand new place last year before May 2025.
Unfortunately, no. Your purchase agreement date or your construction start date must fall within that window, May 27, 2025 to January 1, 2031. before that window doesn't count for this rebate.
Okay. And the money itself, the potential $74,000, is that taxed as income?
Good question. No, it's not. It's a rebate of tax you've already paid or would have paid. It doesn't count as taxable income.
That's definitely good news. Okay, so wrapping this